Did you know that a woman can genuinely want you, desire you, and still pull away? I know that sounds contradictory, guys, because think about it. If a woman is attracted to you, enjoys being around you, and you can clearly feel there's a connection between you, what would you normally expect? You'd expect her to move closer, right? You'd expect things to keep developing between the two of you. But have you ever experienced the opposite? Everything feels good between you. She's texting you. She wants to see you. There's chemistry. Maybe you even kissed, or even maybe you even became intimate with each other. And then something changes. She becomes more distant. So your mind starts saying things like, if she really liked me, why did she change? Did I do something wrong? Was I too interested? Did I show too much interest? Is there maybe another guy? And because you feel the connection slipping away, what do you naturally want to do as a man? You want to get it back. Maybe you text a little bit more. Maybe you give her more attention and validation. Maybe you ask if everything is okay. But what if her pulling away wasn't actually the thing that destroyed the connection? What if your reaction to her pulling away started making things worse? Because sometimes she's overwhelmed. Sometimes you're dealing with avoidance. And yes, sometimes, guys, you gotta admit, she simply is not that interested in you. But those things can look very similar. So how do you know what you're actually dealing with? That's what I want to break down with you in this video. Because think back with me to the beginning. When things were going well, were you analyzing every message she sent? Probably not. You were enjoying her. She texted you. You replied. You saw each other. Things felt natural between the two of you. But then you notice that first bit of distance. Maybe your replies become shorter. Maybe she stops initiating that much. Maybe you don't hear from her like it used to be. And what happened then? Now you're checking your phone. You're rereading messages. You're thinking about that last beautiful day that you had. And then you think like, was I too interested? Did I say something? Should I text her or should I wait? And notice what just happened. A few days ago, you were enjoying this woman, but now you're monitoring her. You're looking for signs that you might be losing her. And that's an important shift because what you do from that state can completely change the dynamic between the two of you. Now, maybe you're thinking, Fabio, my man, isn't the simplest explanation that she just lost attraction? Sometimes, yes, my friend. And if you go online looking for answers, you'll hear a lot of different versions. They say, she just lost attraction. You became too needy. Or for the masculinity coaches, they say, you just lost your masculine frame. You overinvested. Hypergamy kicked in. And is all of that wrong? No, because if you start chasing a woman, abandon your standards, or make your whole life about keeping her interested, of course, attraction can change. I've also talked about that myself. But here's where I think a lot of dating advice and even masculinity advice stops too early. Because it assumes she created distance, therefore she lost attraction. But is attraction really the only thing driving human behavior? What about attachment? What about previous experiences with other men? What about fear that can come up? And what about the nervous system? Because a woman can lose attraction and pull away, but she can also feel attraction and still pull away. And if your explanation is, I must have lost my masculine frame, you can completely misunderstand what's happening. But don't make the opposite mistake either. Should you assume every woman who pulls away is avoidant and secretly wants you? No, that also not, because that would be, like delusional to think that. So we are not choosing between two ideologies here, because her behavior is information. The question is, what does that information actually mean? And maybe that's exactly what you're wondering right now. Is she overwhelmed? Is she losing interest? Am I doing something that is making things worse? If you're dealing with that kind of situation, that's exactly the kind of thing we can look together. I've opened a few free coffee chats where we can look at what's actually happening between you and her and get clear on what your next move should be. You'll find the link below this video. But maybe this is also the first time you're seeing me and you're thinking, I'm interested, but I'm not ready to jump on a call yet. That's completely fine, I understand. Then start with my 3-part dating clarity series. I go deeper there into attraction, avoidance, and the nervous system, so you can start understanding these patterns for yourself. The link is below as well. But stay with me first, because there's still one big question we haven't answered. How can a woman actually want you and still feel the need to create distance? Think about what happens when a connection becomes real. In the beginning, there's not much to lose. You're just getting to know each other. But then, she starts opening up. Maybe she tells you things she doesn't normally tell people. You become physically closer. She starts thinking about you when you're not there. Maybe she realizes in herself, I'm actually starting to like this guy. And what does that create? Vulnerability. For someone who feels safe with intimacy, that vulnerability can feel good. But what if closeness haven't always felt safe to her? What if getting close has meant getting hurt before? Being abandoned, losing control. Now, two things can happen inside her at the same time. One part says, I really like this. Other part says, be careful. And that's the part many men miss, because attraction and fear don't have to cancel each other out. So she can want the connection while another part of her feels the need to protect herself from it. And sometimes that protection looks like distance. Now here's where you enter the story. Imagine she feels overwhelmed and creates a little distance. Maybe she texts less or seems slightly colder. And at that moment, do you think that she consciously thinks, my attachment system is being activated, so I need to deactivate? Of course not. She might simply feel, I need some space. Something feels off. This is moving too fast. But then you notice the change, and yesterday you knew where you stood, and today you don't. And what does uncertainty do when you really care about someone? It activates you too. So now you want to solve it. You send another message. You check if she's okay. You try to arrange another date. And in your mind, you're trying to save the connection. But ask yourself, where is that attention coming from? Before, it came from, I like this woman. Now it may be coming from, I don't want to lose this woman. So imagine she already wanted some space, and now you're giving her more attention. Then she will feel pressure and moves further away. And what happens to you? You feel even more uncertainty. So you move closer. She feels even more pressure. So she moves further away. Can you see the loop? Her distance activates your uncertainty. Your uncertainty creates chasing. Your chasing creates pressure. And that pressure creates more distance. And so at that point, you're not responding to the original connection anymore. You're responding to each other's nervous system. So what do you actually do when you notice this happening? The first thing I tell you is this. Don't chase certainty. Because when you're anxious, what do you want? You want an answer. And you want probably an immediate answer. So you send messages like, do you still like me? Are we okay? Did I do something wrong? But can you force another person to give you emotional certainty? No, it can't. And the harder you try, the more pressure you can create. So instead, ask yourself, what is actually happening here? And not, what is my fear telling me is happening? Because there's a big difference between her taking longer to reply today and her not investing in you for 3 weeks. One is a moment, the other is a pattern. And that's what you want to learn to respond to. Patterns, not panic. So now maybe you're thinking, okay, so don't chase, then I'll pull away too. But careful with that thought, because that's the opposite trap. Because then you think, she waits 6 hours to reply, I'll wait 12 hours to reply. She doesn't initiate a conversation today, fine, I'm never texting her again. But ask yourself, are you actually grounded or are you hurt? Because there's a difference. One man becomes afraid and chases, and another man becomes hurt and punishes her. But both are allowing her behavior to control theirs. So yes, give some space when space is needed, but don't use that space as a weapon to make her chase you, because that's not groundedness, that's another game. And while you're giving her that space, what happens to your life? Are you still focused on your work? Are you training? Do you go to the gym? Are you seeing your friends, living your purpose? Or does everything suddenly become, has she texted? Is she coming back? What does this message mean? And that's where a lot of men start losing themselves. And I'm not telling you not to care, guys. You can genuinely want a woman. You can hope the connection works. But wanting someone and abandoning yourself while you wait for her to choose you are two completely different things. Now, there's another side to this that I need to be very clear about, because otherwise you can take everything I just explained and use it to lie to yourself. Because maybe you're thinking, so if she pulled away, she probably feels too much for me. No, my man, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. Sometimes a woman simply loses interest. Maybe she realizes you're not a good match. Maybe something changed. Maybe she just doesn't want the connection anymore. So how do you know if she doesn't want the connection anymore? What I can tell you guys is this: don't try to read her mind. Watch the pattern. Does she come back toward you? Does she initiate? And most important, does she make time for you? Does she also make an effort to keep the connection alive? Because someone can need space and still invest. But if weeks pass and she doesn't initiate, doesn't make time for you, and you're the only one keeping the connection alive, that's also information that you need to do something with that information. So don't use avoidance to explain away someone's consistent lack of investment in you. That's not clarity, that's denial. And remember this distinction. A woman can genuinely like you, she can want you, and still not be capable of building the kind of relationship that you want. And once you understand that, maybe the whole question starts changing. Because is the goal really to become so good at understanding women that you can stop every woman from pulling away from you? You can't, because you can't control another human being. So what's the real goal here? Becoming grounded enough that when somebody does pull away, you don't abandon yourself trying to keep them. So you don't chase because you're afraid, you don't punish because you're hurt, you don't play games, and you don't create stories in your head because you're afraid of what the truth might be. You observe, you stay open, you keep your standards, and you let her behavior show you whether this connection deserves more of your investment. So remember the question I asked you at the beginning. Can a woman genuinely want you and still pull away? Yes. Attraction and fear can exist at the same time, but maybe the deeper question isn't, how do I make her come back? Maybe it's, who do I become when I don't know whether she will or not? Because that's when your groundedness is really tested. Not when everything is easy, but when you don't have certainty and you still refuse to abandon yourself. So if you're dealing with this right now and you're still wondering what is actually happening between me and her, you can book a free coffee chat with me through the link below. We will look at your specific situation and get clear on what your next move should be. And if you're not ready for that yet, start with my free 3-part Dating Clarity series. You can find a course on my channel that will take you deeper into attraction, avoidance, and the nervous system. And if you want more conversations like this about attraction, relationships, and becoming a more grounded man, subscribe to the channel. With that said, guys, I see you in my next video. Ciao.